Hey, Mr. Chopin, or whoever you are. Hey, everybody. Hi. Hello. Well, yeah, that's a little bit oppressive. Okay. How's it going? I'm in a different place, emotionally. Physically, I am in a different place today than I was last Sunday. The lighting, oof. I don't know. It's a different setup than usual because it's a different show than usual, and I'm gonna try not to look at my monitor to see how I look. But who cares, right? Who cares? It's fine. I have a light right here so I can see my project, and I have the camera closer on me this time, I think, right? I mean, it's easy to check, right? I can go back to last Sunday's live stream and look at it, and maybe I will. But first, I want to look at the chat. Hello! Oh boy. Okay, crafts for others. Like I said, I remember screen names, but I may not remember your name. It's possible I can get better at that. I mean, I want to. Okay, there's my hand. Okay, we've got Michelle. Wait, hold on. Carol Hempel, yes. The OG. We've got D. Marie, DMD. Carol Quilts, Carol too. Do you like that? Do you not like that? I don't know. Oh, okay. No, I don't want to become famous. There's someone here who's interested in wanting to make me famous. That's exciting. We talk about quilts here, so quilts are famous. Everyone knows who quilts are. Biff's in the chat. We've got Marianne. Funny story to tell you, but okay, good. I look forward to seeing you, Marianne, on the stream. Let's see. Padma's back. It's good to see you. Let's see. We've got Michelle. Yes, okay. Malrose. Hey, how's it going? I just put a. It's not morning for everyone. It's 4:15 for me. Hey, Nancy. So I slept for so long. I slept for 8 hours, which is unusual for me. I usually don't make it that long. About 6 hours is what happens to me. But I slept 8 hours because I was so tired, right, after the big apartment thing. By the way, welcome to everybody else who hasn't said hi in the chat. And it's completely okay to not join the chat. It's great when you do. This is why the stream happens, right? Because I want to be with you while I'm researching quilts, or making quilts. It's kind of nice. So it'd be great to have you say hi, but you don't have to. And so I was just so tired right after my adventure. I have to get used to this little couch thing here. Oh God, I need a producer. So I slept 8 hours, but I look more tired, I think, than when I get more sleep. So anyway, enough about my appearance. Do men do that? Do they just apologize for their appearance just right and left? I don't know. So today is Sunday Social. And if you're new here, new to this stream, new to my channel, then you should know that this show on Sunday is a little bit different than the shows. hold on. Than the shows the rest of the week. And there are so many shows every week. There are 3. Hello. There are 3 shows during the week. There's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Okay? Always. At 11 a.m. Central on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have Quilt Church. We also have Quilt Church at 4 p.m. on Saturdays. And what is Quilt Church, you may ask? Well, Quilt Church is, it's a place, actually, Mark, a new friend here, a new follower, said last week that hello, hey Holmes, hey Caroline, excellent, a video magazine. That's what Mark said about it. It was Mark, right? Yeah. A video magazine. And that's a great term for what it is. On Twitch, the functionality for live streaming is great. I really like what Twitch has to offer, so I'm doing it on this platform rather than on YouTube. The more I do, the more I learn the Twitch platform, the more you'll see that is true. But Twitch allows you to do, lots of different things with the screen, right? Like, anyway, what I'm able to do is, make this kind of like a video magazine, this Quilt Church thing. And that means that I can show you things that I'm looking at while you're chatting with me, right? And the things that I'm looking at have to do with quilts. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, except what happens when you start looking at quilts online together or through my files, right? My vast files of quilts and quilt history and quilts in culture. When you start looking at something, when it has to do with a quilt, you often get led to a million different places. Different quilts, yes, but you look into history a little bit. You look into art a little bit. You start having conversations about what came before, what's coming up. And I do that like all the time. Basically, Quilt Church is kind of like what I do for research. I research quilts and look at the history and look at the future and all of that. And I realized I could share that in real time with all of you and have you in the process with me, which is way more fun. And it's way more, it's a conversation, right? A discussion instead of just me sitting there with my laptop. And it's been wonderful. We've been doing it for about 2 months. And the channel's growing. Please subscribe to my channel if you like it. And like I said, this is a different thing. We don't sew every week necessarily. This is the second time we're doing it, and because it's just fun, right? We just want to sew together. But the Quilt Church show is a little bit different, and it's just been wonderful. And the people who come to the show tend to come back. I mean, so far, the attrition rate is pretty low. I usually start off the stream as I'm starting now, a little bit nervous, a little bit, need to settle into my jam. I'm sweating. And I keep thinking of things that I want to tell you and getting ahead of myself. But here's the deal with the Quilt Church. You have to see it. Once you see it, once you come and join us on Tuesdays, on a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. Central, Saturday at 4 p.m. Central. Once you drop in and see how it goes and see what this video magazine looks like, I think you will also come back because there's no content like this on the internet, in the internet of quilts, right? The quilternet, if you will. We have books, we have magazines, we have, I almost said concerts. No, please, no quilt concerts. We have conventions and podcasts and all of that, and it's all wonderful. But with a podcast, you can talk to people, you can talk to the audience, but you can't really hear back from them in real time. And on a podcast, and there are many wonderful quilt podcasts, there are, okay? I should be able to name a few, but right now, of course, I can't think of a single one. But you can't see anything, right? And as visual people making objects, that are really beautiful, even when they're beautiful, it's really nice to be able to talk about things and see them as you're talking about them. Interviews are coming with people, and we will have, it's less of an interview when I have guests on, I should say. Guests are going to come to the show and we'll have a discussion, right, about their work and look at their work while we're talking about it. So that's Quilt Church. I'm getting better now that I've the first 5 minutes maybe of the stream has begun and I can chill. But that's what Quilt Church is. And we do sort of worship quilts, right? And all that they comprise and all that they mean. They are, I think, sort of the best example of our humanity. I really believe that. And so by looking at quilts, it's true, we can learn about ourselves. Damn it. So yes, we worship quilts, and the term came up, or the name came up in the chat one night, and we just really like it. So Quilt Church. So come and see us. Now, hey Fletch. Interesting. So just a guy. Hey Akhil. Thank you for saying your name again. Akhil. Welcome, Akhil. I'm so glad you're here. So you were here last week. Welcome back. What shall I say now? Okay, so what I shall say now is that I've got this thing set up, this computer camera situation. And yeah, well, let's see. Oh, good, you won't have to see this finger much. Thank God, the Band-Aid on it. I cut my finger. And by the way, this is it. This is like, grab your project. We're just gonna sew. I've got some music on. I think it can be a little bit louder now. And so, I mean, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit because that makes sense. But grab a project, or I don't know, if you're working on something that you need background media on, nothing shocking is gonna happen. No loud noises. I mean, I hope not. That's a fly, of course. Well, that was, I mean, it's not a loud noise, but that was a surprise. There may be surprises. There may be gifts. So, but otherwise it's this. So I hope that you have time to sew. So let's do it. But yeah, I cut myself. Oh yeah. Oof, I want to show you my quilt. I'm really up against a wall on this one. Yeah, I'm sitting on the couch in the office. The as yet, like the unfinished office. We haven't quite figured out how this is all going to work. So it's sort of awful. There's cords everywhere and like a printer. Printers are just not attractive things. Have they ever been? Steve Jobs, if he hadn't died, maybe he would have made a printer that was not just an ugly piece of plastic, no? So I will show you this quilt, but if you want to see the full thing, open a tab and look at Twitch, look at my channel, right? And go down to the last Sunday Sewcial video and kind of open it, click on it, and then kind of scrub through until you see the quilt, because I show it full on. I'll try. I'm going to stand on the couch. It's a bad idea, but I'm going to do it. This is my COVID quilt, which I started, a year and a half ago. And, it's not done yet because I moved to London, basically. And okay, that says stay safe, but I'm redoing the S today. And it's pretty big. I mean, hang on. Oh, God. No, I'm not doing that. I can do this. Now it's 2021. I've got to finish my flag. We've got our little essential workers. Little houses. So it's a pictorial quilt. That's what you would call this. There's my little essential worker there. Those quilt blocks that look like little V's. I made these quilt blocks a long time ago, and they were just sort of loose, and I really like them. So I just stitched them on because, I don't know, it seemed like the thing to do. And then some of these blocks are vintage blocks that I picked up a long time ago. And yeah, and I just love working on it. I'm so happy with it. But, I mean, it's time. Like, for heaven's sakes, let's finish this thing. Finish it. So I want to do that. So I've got a lot of the quilting done. I'm hand quilting it with, that's an animal, an indiscriminate animal, which I love. I love on any pictorial quilt. Some animal you can't tell what it is, it's like the sweetest, charmingest thing. And so I started hand quilting it, and I got so much done on it, but you couldn't see, this is, I mean, it's a quilt, but there's no batting in this, because it's really kind of a wall hanging, kind of an art quilt, a bedspread. Can't believe I just used that word, but it's true. And so I was using, quilting thread, but you couldn't see it at all. And this is chambray and a linen back. And so, I mean, I sort of thought, well, when I get all of the quilting in it, it'll look great. But I did a fair amount, like in the center, and it wasn't worth it. So I ripped it all out, and I'm doing the big stitch quilting, okay? So I really like it. It's much more fun. So that's what I'm working on. So that's why it's not finished, because a lot of life has happened since I started it. And, I have other things to do, like lead Quilt Church. Yeah, launching a Twitch career, right? Okay, so that's what I'm working on. And let's see, what do I do? What was I going to do? I should do that S, but maybe. Okay, I'm gonna quilt. I'm gonna try to do one thing at a time. Finish one thing before starting another one. Okay, so what are you working on? Tell me. Diobeb. Yes. PJ Meep. PJ Meep. One of my favorite names. Meep. Let's see. Oh, thanks, Charles. Or sorry, it's Akhil. Wait a minute. I have to make sure. Hang on. Yes, okay. Charles. You know, it's another. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. Rhonda. Thank you. Thanks. Hey, Myra. Pearl cotton. You know, I am using Sashiko thread actually, and I think. Thank you so much, y'all. That's so nice. Yeah, I'm using Sashiko because that's what I had, and but I think I mentioned last week that it's not necessarily Sashiko. Like Sashiko is a very specific technique, right? This Japanese stitching technique style, and I don't think like all Sashiko is, you know, big stitches, but not all big stitch quilting is Sashiko. And you know, that would be a good thing to look at in Quilt Church because I don't really know. It's just that my friend Heather knows everything. I mean, she knows pretty much everything when it comes to like making quilts, and a lot more besides. But she told me that, so I don't want to say the wrong thing. Oh, I need to repair that too. Okay, well, all right. Let's see. Where was I? All right, what are you working on? Yeah. Oh yeah, Holmes. I want to see an exhibit of quilts made during quarantine, pandemic. I think it's a fine idea. Oh, you did a log cabin you called Cabin Fever. Yeah, that's great. That's really great. You cut the toaster sweater from Sew House 7. We'll attempt to sew it today. First garment ever. Oh. A dog quilt. I have never made a garment in my life. Actually, I made some like what were they called? Hammer pants or something. They were like, you know, not harem pants. I don't think that's right. But yeah, I kind of just cut them out and sewed them together, and it was just awful. I mean, it was really bad. So did you start? Oh no, you cut it out. Okay, you're gonna work on it today. Hey, everybody, send good vibes to Myra because she's doing it. She's jumping in. You're gonna jump into that sweater. It's gonna go great. I mean, you're sewing with friends, right? Just don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. That's what I make mistakes when I get distracted, and I'm often making mistakes, if you know what I mean. All right. Oh yeah, you did see an M and an E, Carol. It's Mary and Eric. Oh, isn't that nice? Let's see. Oh, for heaven's sakes! I might work on the angle here of the close up. Yeah, M and E. All right. I want to finish it because I have so many other things I want to work on, but I also just want it to be done because I like it too. I think it's going to look really kind of neat. And you know, let's see, was it Holmes? Yeah. Big Stitch. Yeah. Okay. Holmes, you said you'd like to see a quilt show with all the with many COVID quilts, right? Quilts made during the time of COVID. I think that's a brilliant idea. It may be was probably underway, right? I mean, maybe, hopefully, a lot of those exhibits and probably the big quilt shows. Like I would imagine, Quilt Festival is probably going to put something together. Heaven, look, I'm stuck between quilts. Look, this. I got this little guy at a flea market here in London. It's just a little, you know, a little wall hanging. I really like it. It's kind of falling apart. Oh, I've never noticed. Oh, look, it's a quilt as you go. You see? Also called a pot holder quilt. Let's see. Can you see that? Can you see that seam? Hang on. Let me. That's coming apart, right? So they were quilted, these squares, and then sewn together after they were quilted. Interesting. I didn't notice that before. So yeah, I'm buried This is this wonderful quilt by George Bonesteel. One day I'll talk to you about it, but I can't now because I have guild gigs coming up, and I don't want to scoop myself. Okay, and let's see. Padma's praying to the serger gods. Who asked? Big Stitch. So PJ, Big Stitch is, it's this essentially. Like if you quilt a quilt with Big Stitch, you're going to be using a thicker thread in the Big Stitch style, I should say. You're going to be, and it may be called other things. It probably is. Like I said, Sashiko may be a specific technique. But, I'm using Sashiko thread, which is a little like embroidery floss. That's another thing. And another thing. That's what I want to know too. I really care about quilt making, so it's like, what does it mean to do Sashiko? I should probably know that, and I want to know that. So this is a promise. On Tuesday at Quilt Church, we're gonna look at it. We're gonna look at Sashiko. Let's see. Where is my stuff? There it is. Ugh. There's my little box of stuff. All right. Akhil says, I'm not working on anything at the moment, but I do need to prepare my fabrics for the Bronte workshop and resume my Nebula quilt top. Excellent. Prepare those fabrics. Prepare. It's going to be great if you haven't signed up for the Bronte workshop next weekend. I think, let's see, this time next week, for us, for Jenny and myself here in London, it'll be 6 p.m. when we go on. Yeah, an hour and a half from now, next week, we'll be doing the workshop. That's great. Yeah, the Bronte sisters made a quilt, and it's pretty awesome. I could show it to you now, but let's not cross the streams with Quilt Church and Sunday Social. I do have a needle in here somewhere. I should probably find that. Let's see. Holmes is moving slow, not sewing yet. Oh yeah, you're going to the Rolling Stones concert? Where are you? Where do you live? What state? Everyone's doing garments. That's amazing. Finish sewing the blocks. Excellent. Rolling Stones, yeah. What city do you live in? I was just looking at a wonderful documentary. Apple made a documentary called 1971. Oh, my Lord. You must see it. You have, everyone, please watch that. Apple TV, we had to buy it, or rent it, whatever, from Apple Plus. Excuse me. I have not binge watched a show like I did that show, 1971. The subtitle of the show, or the documentary series, is it's 1971, the year that music changed everything. There's 8 episodes, I think, and I was up until 4 a.m. before I turned that thing off. And I started it at 9 or something. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Okay, let me just get this out. In 1971, Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street came out. You had albums from Curtis Mayfield, Bob Marley. It's ridiculous. Okay, now I'm just forgetting everything. Everyone, David Bowie. No, is that true? Maybe that was a little bit later. The Beatles broke up. There's all this other stuff. The Beatles broke up. Jim Morrison died. All of these events occurred in 1971, and I could not. Angela Davis was in prison, and Aretha Franklin, gave this benefit concert. It's crazy. It's so good. And the Rolling Stones figure heavily in that, right? The drug abuse, all kinds of stuff. The Beatles broke up. I think I said that. So you just need to see it. And the Rolling Stones, God, Mick Jagger. Are you kidding me? He's not of this world. He really is sort of, when you see some of these musicians, they're the artist archetype. And they do feel like they're sort of made of different stuff, I think, sometimes, the archetypal muse, or the, the artist, right? In the grand sense, the artist. Okay, let me see. Oh, I gotta stop doing that. I don't want you to look at my arm so closely. Okay, Carolyn finished something. A Mohawk trail quilt. Okay, my monitor is a little bit further than usual. Great. I have not looked at my Twitch email, so you can email me if you dare, twitch@maryfons.com. But I keep forgetting to check it because it's only about, I don't know, a week old. And I'm really bad at email anyway. It's something I wish I could change about myself, and I don't know how. My email response time is pretty bad. I get overwhelmed. I don't know. Like, grow up, Mary, deal with it. But so I have a new email, but I keep forgetting to actually look at it. So I have not read the email about Big Stitch, but I should, and we will do it on Tuesday. Okay. Dio Beb, you're quilting your first and last denim quilt. Were you on Quilt Church on Thursday? I think we talked about denim quilts. Can't remember if you were there or not, but you should definitely watch the replay if you haven't. Okay, let's see. Nice. Oh yeah. Yeah, that Jane Eyre version is really interesting. And also, the version with, I need to get sewing. What's going on? Or quilting. The version with Michael Fassbender, I think we've discussed. Some of us have discussed Michael Fassbender. I have not had a crush on a movie star for a long time, but I do now. I have one now. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I was finding my needle. Good heavens. 700 masks. Whoa. You emailed me some topics. Excellent, Mall Rose. Thank you very much. 700 masks for your community. Amazing. Okay. Oh, lovely. Oh, Tandy Newton. Oh, she's so great. Okay. I'm gonna not look at the chat for a second because I need to get my mind around what's going on, and I don't want to dump my little sewing box. As I mentioned last week, when I started this quilt, it was really the first needle turned applique. Well, not the very, very, very first, but pretty darn close to the very first. And I've learned a lot, making it. So there's some places I want to fix. I don't like some of the stitches that I took, so I'm going to redo a few of the little places. Okay. Do I see it? Aha! I found it. Once the sun goes down a little bit more, I'll open the blinds again, or the shades. I should sort of spread this out on the floor and make my hoop, do it perfectly. But it's just not how I do it. I should, do it all right. But I don't. And I don't know. The cult of perfection, right, in the quilt world sometimes just really bums me out, man. Really harshes my mellow. So I don't know. I do this for fun. For a long time, I had to do it for work. And that kind of, that pressure really kind of messed me up, I couldn't play for a long time with quilts. I had to produce. And it was kind of rough, starting that way. I didn't really have a lot of room to play or to make mistakes. So I rebelled. And I made lots of mistakes. Subconsciously, maybe. I made lots of mistakes in, rushing through a quilt or whatever. So I've always felt very inadequate about all of this. But once I stopped, being on camera, teaching people, professionally, officially, quilting's gotten a lot more fun. Like, a lot more fun. So, all right. This is not a demo. I have to keep saying that. It's not a demo. I might tell you things as we go along, tips and things. I did that last week, but this is not a demo. Okay. Hey! Ipsalala. Ipsalala, welcome. I'm so glad you came. Welcome to Sunday Social. It's Quilt Church's little sister. The little sister show. Okay. We're just hanging out, we're sewing. And that is that. Let's see, can you see what I'm doing here? All right. It's not a demo, but you know, I'm not gonna just put the camera on my face only. Ugh. I don't know. Welcome to the top of my head. I don't know. Last week, I need my thimble. Last week, I got so much done. And everyone who was here at Sunday Social last week also got a lot done because it's this focused, specific time, to work on our stuff. So, that's very good. I'm going to turn the music up just a touch. Hey, Duck-billed Viper. You're a sneaky. You seem so cute, with the duck bill, but there's a viper right behind it. It's kind of scary. Are you a quilt person? If you are, you're most welcome here, or a stitcher of any kind. Let's see. Quilting Politic, excellent. Okay, so how I load my stitches to the needle. So I would say, muffins and tea, excellent. So I've got a Sewcial needle, specifically Sewcial needle, and I load up like, what? Obviously they're not perfect, but they're pretty even. I think. Oh, you can see that pretty well, right? With that light. And I'll probably take one more. So how many am I taking here? Hold on. It's not bad, right? It's, let me see if you can... Hang on. Yeah. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 5. And then I use my thumbnail right now to push this through. I have a thumb thimble that I can use, but I don't really need my thimble as much, I guess, here. But I just kind of always put it on when I'm working on this quilt because I've got, applique to do. Some people wear their thimble. A lot of quilters wear their thimble on this side, and then they push through like that. And yeah, my first thought, right, when I was watching a Jenny Beyer tutorial, she has her thimble on this third finger, her ring finger. Is that right? Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, well, I'm doing it wrong, just like instant imposter syndrome. But then someone else at Sunday Social, was like, I do that. You can wear it on whatever finger you like. So I do, and I don't worry about it, and that feels weird, so. 6 usually, okay, good. Favorite needle, yeah. That is something that, hey, Duck-billed 21, I'm so glad you're here. If you were the laughingstock of your high school, it means you are doing everything right. Because a lot of people, and anybody who's laughing at anybody else can just go, they can just go play in traffic. That's terrible. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. You're among friends. If you have quilts in your life and stitching in your life, you're going to be just fine. Let's see. Dee Marie, I recommend, more play. Sometimes that can sound a little facile, Play, remember how to play, but it's true. I mean, I guess I'd say, which quilts do you love? When you look at quilts, like at Quilt Church, when we're looking at them on Tuesdays at 11 a.m., Saturdays at 4 p.m., when you're looking at those quilts, which ones make your heart sing? And the quilts that make my heart sing are pictorial, always. Always. Quilts with words on them, quilts with animals on them. Those are the quilts I love, so those are the quilts I'm going to make. Like, pretty much, probably always. Although I do miss just some straight patchwork, it's true. But I wanted to say, hey, SW! Excellent. Welcome. I'm so glad you came. Do you wax your thread so it doesn't tangle? I don't. You want to know a really gross tip? But it's kind of good. Did I tell you this last week? If you need to get a little, like if your thread won't thread, or you can't get your thread through your needle, you can go like this. And then put a little on the end of your thread, because this is, it's oily, right? I mean, my skin's pretty dry and I still have a little right there. So I take a little lick, not after I do this, but I'll show you, because I need to rethread here in just a second. Let's see. Susan, yes, make what you love. Thread tangles. Ooh, Dee Marie's got a good tip there. Okay. When I'm tying off, there's that terrible Band-Aid. Okay, well, I've got a little bit, I've got just enough thread that, like, I don't want to waste it, but it's not enough to really do too much with. Well, anyway, okay, so I take just a little nip of fabric, and then, so I have a loop, and then I just go through the loop. God. When I was on television, we had manicures paid for. Not so much these days. Sorry. The reason I have a Band-Aid on, I meant to tell you, is because I cut myself. I mean, it could have been pretty bad. I was slicing an onion, and I don't know, it just was kind of dry on the outside. And it rolled, and that could have been rough. So, like, bang, right there. And I was really worried. I was worried that it was deep. It was definitely a problem, but I just put it up, above my head, grabbing onto it with, there's paint. You see that? You see that paint? No, this one. Ah! Oh God. Hello, welcome to my armpit. Anyway, did that happen? Live, it's how it goes. There's paint on my arm, from painting yesterday, but I put my finger above my head, above my heart, and squeezed it and just tried to keep it from doing what it wanted to do, which was hurt and bleed pretty badly. So I fixed it. So, if you come to this show, you can hear me talk about blood and sorry. Just stop. Okay. I told you there would be nothing shocking in this show. It's not true. I'm shocked. I know what I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted by being a ridiculous person. So when okay. Someone mentioned having, we talked about needles, we're talking about needles and being able to thread and things. And you were saying that you have a bent needle from using it a lot. And there's many things that I cut corners on, but I really change my needle a lot because I think it really makes a difference. I probably change it too often. Probably don't need to. But a sharp needle, like, I feel like my accuracy is going to be a lot better, right? And my accuracy can use all the help it can get. So I really, same with rotary blades. I change them. I don't leave them for very long, you know? I'm going to look at the chat and see what happened with that moment that I showed you my arm. Okay, great. Seinfeld analogy. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep, mistakes are how you learn. 1000%. Myra, you're new to sewing. Interesting. Okay, let me show you something more pretty while I'm catching up here. Okay, good. No one really. Okay, lol. Okay, great. Yeah, the thing is, I am among friends, but then there's the replay. And who knows who'll see that. I think I can probably cut that out. Anyway, so. Okay, I finished that one. That's great. Maybe at Quilt Church on... Oh, and by the way, Duckbill, you need to come to Quilt Church. I mean, you really need to come to Quilt Church on Tuesday night or Tuesday afternoon, depending on where you are. Yeah, like if you were the laughingstock of your high school, it may be because you were a nerd or you are a nerd. And if you are, yeah, you need to hang out with us. We will take you into the fold, into the flock, Quilt Church, because we nerd out on our favorite thing, and whatever your favorite thing is, when you nerd out on it, I mean, the language of nerding is universal, don't you think? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, see, this is an example on the One Love part, okay? I did these stitches, right, with regular, with sewing thread, quilting thread. And it's okay, but this was like one of the moments where I was like, I don't know, like I did 2 rows of stitching because I really wanted the quilting to show up. But even with a light thread on that dark ground, it really didn't. And I was like, no, that's not what I want. I want this. I want this. So I'm going to take those stitches out. Wait a minute, am I? Hang on now. Wait a minute. Now if I do that, actually no, I'm not doing that because look, if I do white around a white letter on a very dark, if the contrast is so dark, which it is, that might look weird, actually. It might look weird if I have those big stitches there, especially in between. Huh, interesting. I think I better wait. I'm not doing that yet. Because from far away, it might just look kind of, not sloppy, but sort of blurry somehow. That's when you really need to take a step back and look at what you're doing. I'm not going to do that. I'm kind of trapped where I am. I mean, I've got like cords over there. Really shouldn't. Okay, but here's a heart that was done with actually some slightly heavier thread, some Aurifil thread, but it doesn't show up as well as I want it to, so I'm taking it out. I'm using these needles, by the way. Yeah. over Sashiko. It's weird. Sometimes if you like put something in front of the camera, I don't know. I'm getting used to like close-ups. Okay. A bright color. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, Michelle. Tulip. I don't know this tulip. Oh, tulip needle. Oh yeah. Okay. Actually, yes. Yeah. Big eye. Okay. Bright color. Milliners. Interesting. Really? That's fascinating. Carol used to work for a company that made thread, which eventually was Coates and Clark. A stalwart. I hope they're still doing their thing. When you lick the thread, it causes the filaments to slightly expand when they dry. And it makes the thread tougher to pull through at times. Whoa. That makes perfect sense. And the reason that I've done it is because, like that's completely logical, and that makes me think. When I have licked my thread, I like it because then I pinch the end really hard, and it gives me a line, right? Like it flattens the end of the thread into a little, and I can push it through the eye of the needle. But sometimes it doesn't work. And that makes sense. It's really interesting. Well, a thread company should know, especially Coates and Clark. They're legendary. Okay, tulip. Well, is there a polling feature on Twitch? I think there is. Could Mary put her choices to the vote? This is interesting. I would love to be able to do that. What I would do... Let me figure it out. I will figure it out. We could, but here's how we do a poll on the fly. If you and the question is whether I should use the big stitch or use the white stitching on the one. This, I think that's the question, but I might have missed something in the chat. But either way, whatever the question is, we'll ask it officially, and then we can put a 1 or a 2 in the chat, depending on like your opinion. If it's like Mary should use the big stitch on that portion, but she should use a colored thread. Like if you agree with that statement, put a 1 in the chat, that kind of thing. And if you disagree, put a 2 in the chat. So once we know the question, that's what we're gonna do. Machine quilter, love that. Yep, try something else, who knows? Let's see. Okay, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Caroline. I don't speak any other languages, so I'm impressed by anyone who speaks more than one language. A little Spanish. I can speak a little Spanish. But you said, Carolyn, who's German, I was surprised how different the sashimi technique is from quilting. And that is very sweet, because sashimi and sashiko are extremely similar words, but sashimi is fish, is like sushi, it's a piece of sushi. And I think I might call sashiko sashimi. It's sashimi stitching. It's really, really, it's charming. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's different. It's different from regular quilting. Sashimi. Caroline. Yes, Carol would win every Trivial Pursuit game ever. Okay, let's see. This is really funny. So Twitch flags. So Dee Marie, your comment that you made probably a few minutes ago has been held for moderation. And you know why? Excuse me. Oh, this kills me. Oh, I'm not going to get anything done. The reason that it was flagged is because there was a word there that is on like the naughty list, right? But the word that you used, looser tension, Looser. Your comment was, I use my long arm to baste Baptist fan shapes, looser tension. Then big stitch hand quilting. The downside is pulling out basting stitches, but I did not mind. Now, There's nothing wrong with that comment. But you know what has been very odd to see over the last few years? No one can spell loser. Everyone spells loser with 2 O's now. I mean, online, it's like, what a loser. That's not how you spell loser. But now we see that so many people spell loser wrong that when you said looser tension, it flagged looser. Damn it! It hurts. It hurts me. It does. I hate people who get all up in arms about grammar and like, nah, it's annoying. I don't want to be that person. But I guess I am, because that drives me insane. Looser. Well, I just approved your comment, D. Marie. That kills me. The other one that's really interesting, it started to happen, is I'm not getting anything done on this quilt. I have to. I can't look at the chat as much. Okay, but of course I have to. The other one that's really interesting is that people are saying conspiracy theory when they have a theory. Like a friend of mine was like, talking about this woman that she knows, and she was like, well, I think she went back to him, conspiracy theory, but I think I don't think she's being honest about it. I think she's with him again, dating him again. It's conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory unless there's many people, unless you believe. There's that fly again. Unless you believe that there are many people conspiring, I don't like that fly. I might have to go deal with it. Unless you believe that there are many people conspiring to do something like, secretly. You can't have a conspiracy theory of one. So that's bothering me. That's bothering me quite a bit. Okay, it was autocorrect, Caroline. Well, I still think it's wonderful. Sashimi technique. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's so weird. Yo, Mary Fons Mark! Mark is in the chat. Oh, and just so Viv, you're here. I'm very glad. Everyone's here. Gang's all here. I'm so glad you came, Mark. Mark, everyone, is the genius who was the first to say video magazine. The video magazine that we make. It's called Quilt Church, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Central, 4 p.m. Central on Saturdays. This is a social sew, Sunday social, why can't I say it? We're just hanging out and sewing today. I'm talking a lot. But Quilt Church is something else entirely. And you should come by and see what it's like. And participate, because it's live. That's pretty fun. I'm cracking you up. Good. Oh, good. Your stomach hurts from laughing. I'm glad. I am quite chatty today. But yeah, that kills me. And another thing. So I said I wasn't going to be... who needs to be here is Molly. Where is Molly? I don't think she was at the chat last night. I don't think she was in the room last night. Anyway, the librarian, the brilliant librarian. Another one that kills me while we're being peeved. I always thought there should be a children's book called My Pet Peeve. And little peeve just kept showing up, like sitting on the bed, with his feet up and interrupting. So the other one that's really, really tough is that it's pretty much, we all know literally it's a lost cause, It's like, I was literally barfing. Like, well, whatever, it's over. That started happening years ago. Now I say it, I was literally just starving, and I had to eat. So that's over. But less and fewer. There were less people there last night. It just sounds wrong. I'm never, ever going to correct a person, sorry, I'll never correct a person on their grammar. I mean, that is like real messed up. Sometimes if Eric's reading to me, he reads to me most nights to help me go to sleep. And and sometimes he'll mispronounce a word because he doesn't like, what did he do? It was a philosopher. Hang on. Maybe I'll think of it. But it was the name, Nicodemus, right? Is that biblical? No. Yeah, that's biblical. Anyway, it was something like that. And I just, it was like, do I correct him, you know? And it's always a little, I find it a little bit like galling if somebody corrects me when I mispronounce something. I mean, it's just a little embarrassing. It shouldn't be, right? And we've already established in this chat that that's how you learn things, right? How do you know how to pronounce a word unless you learn it, right? But it's also a little invasive, right? To be like, it's Nicodemus, not Nicodemus or whatever. And of course I didn't do it like that, but it's, you know, it's like, ouch, it hurts a little bit when someone tells you, you know, that's wrong, what you just said, and I know the way it is, and now I'm going to correct you. But I'd rather know than not know. Anyway. But correcting someone's grammar, that's for your, like, parent to do, right? If that's the kind of parent you've got. And my mom was that parent, you know, like, Mary, you know, there were fewer people there last night, not there were less people. But, I mean, I'm pretty tired of the whole language police, you know, in every respect. Thought police, language police, it's pretty real out there. So, I don't know how we even got. Oh yeah, no, this was a very interesting moment when they flagged looser. Got my dander up. That's what it did. You were that parent. That's good. I mean, I don't know. The thing is about speaking, like, you know, having a decent vocabulary, you know, and like elocution, I guess. I don't know. It might sound snobby, but the thing is, it's free to, like, learn words and stuff. And some people have a harder time, you know, memorizing things or retaining things, or they have trouble because they don't have people in their lives to say, hey, you know, it's actually pronounced this way or that. You know, I'm sensitive to those things. However, you know, if you read some books and you know, watch some decent documentaries from time to time, and I don't know, keep your eyes and ears open, you know, you can learn more words. And if you need something or you're trying to communicate an emotion, and you have the like decent words to use to communicate that is very helpful, you know? If you can say, you know, if you say, if you have something to express, and sometimes the thing you have to express might be quite urgent or really difficult to explain, and like the more words you have in your arsenal, then the more clearly you'll be able to communicate what you need or what you want or what the trouble is, you know? So I'm a fan of, like, being corrected, I guess. But it's also pretty, like, you know, it can be very patronizing. So I don't tend to correct people. But I can be mad secretly. I can have clandestine anger. German people always pronounce Iron Man wrong. Iron? Did they say Iron Man? Yeah, that's funny. Better things to do. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Padma, ask him. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's a good point. I think I might have. I mean, not to, like, absolve myself from, but I think I'm at some point in the time that I've known him, I feel like I probably would have said, like, do you want me to tell you if it's, if it's something else? But it's a good thing to refresh. Padma, you are most wise. You were wise last night, too. If you're wise, you pretty much always are. Well, yeah, I mean, consistently. Language evolves, exactly. Exactly. Language evolves, that's the thing. The way we speak now is completely different from the way people spoke even just some years ago. It's totally true. So, like, who are you to be like, I'm always demonstrating how we pronounce US English to my Indian DIL because people sometimes can't understand her. Can you DIL? DIL is a acronym for. Tell me. Because either I don't know it or I've forgotten. This would be obvious, right? Iron. DIL. Why am I blanking on it? Daughter-in-law. Okay. Daughter-in-law. Let's see. Demonstrating how to pronounce English. Yeah, you know what? Here's the other thing about that, on that topic is, and this might sound sort of not so charitable, but I dated a guy who was lovely. Ultimately, it did not work out. But he could be pretty unlovely too, by the way. But he kind of mumbled. And it sort of broke my heart. It did, because he was so brilliant and so awesome in so many ways, but I think he got a little nervous. I think his father was pretty awful. I never met his father, but I think he was sort of in a family that I don't know. I felt like his background had something to do with his tendency to mumble in the presence of, like, I don't know, people that he didn't know. Like, he met my mom, and I would see it happen, that he kind of mumbled. And he was bilingual, but I think, English was like his second language, barely. Like, he came to the States when he was a kid, and so his English was perfect, but he did kind of mumble, and it was hard because I knew people couldn't understand him, and they would say, sorry, and it was sort of this snowball effect, because he would then sort of be a little bit nervous that he had to repeat himself, and so he would get a little bit more nervous, and it was a shame. I thought it sucked, because he was so smart and so interesting, and when he didn't speak clearly, and it was not a language issue. He grew up, from a time he was very small, speaking English. So it wasn't about that. It was about, I guess, like, it is elocution, right? I think that's what it is. And when you speak clearly and people can understand you, then, you just don't have to deal with the, I'm sorry, what did you say? That whole thing, and it's just, I feel like it's kind of it's a good thing to do, to speak clearly. But of course, some people can't. If you have, a speech impediment or whatnot like that, but that's something that I don't know about. And I mean, this particular person had this particular, I guess, habit, and he didn't always do it. And I just was like, yeah, I think that's a thing that he does when he's nervous or whatnot. So when I'm saying, like, speak clearly, it probably sounds ableist as hell, and I know it. But I'm talking about the specific person, right? I can't do a lot of things, by the way. Okay, let's see. England, yep. What is his other language? Russian. Yeah, Russian. Interesting. Oh, that's interesting. You're writing too quickly. I think that's a function that I can do something to the settings, Caroline. I think you can put something on, I didn't know that it was on like slow chat or something, but there is a setting that you can adjust when you have a live streaming chat room, because you don't want, you can slow things down, or you can have the program that you're running slow down the chat so no one can like bomb the chat with 9,000 messages at once. But we don't really have that problem here. So I'll see what I can do. See, last night I said, like, I will say something insensitive. I mean, I showed you my armpit, for God's sakes. It's like, ugh, when you're live, you just can't edit things out. And, talking about speech, someone's ability to say things clearly. I mean, was that an ignorant thing to say? Because some people, they have maybe a speech impediment, stutter, or perhaps they have, something with their mouth, something, physically that makes it difficult for them to speak. I mean, of course I am completely sensitive to that, but I wasn't thinking of that, Anyway, we don't have to go into all of that. But I think about those things, and I think about really the danger of talking this much on the internet live. So maybe I should just sew. While we're here, okay, Myra's talking needles. That's good. Okay, good. Talk to Myra about needles. And I'll think about what I've done. Making a Twitch channel. Is Marianne here? Marianne, I was thinking about something you asked last week. Yeah, let's just stick to sewing and quilting. Now I go talking about language. Marianne, you asked last week, sorry, I'm not looking at what I'm doing here. You asked last week about how to avoid the thread getting tangled when you pull through. And I gave you the little tip about, I hook my pinky. I hook my pinky in the loop. Sorry. So that, it won't tangle on the way down. But there's something else that I learned along the way. Don't have a death grip on your, let me show you. So when I pull through, like if I'm really holding my needle really hard, it has, I don't know why it would be, let's see. I don't know if you sort of pull it more loosely, like, I'm just sort of like pulling the thread more than like yanking the needle through. Someone might understand how to better explain that. But it rarely will tangle if I'm a little bit more gentle when I pull the thread through. So that's something. Oh, good. Great. If you've just come in, some people just have come in, you're free to lurk. I won't ever be like, hey, Mike 123, because I can't see that. I don't know who's come in, and I don't want to know. So you can join in the chat or you can just chill. And I'm glad you're here. And this is Sunday Sewcial. I don't know why I can't remember it. But this is a different kind of show. It's a different kind of party. It's a stitching party. Or it's a have this on in the background while you, like, I don't know, do the dishes or clean the house or something like that. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays, check my schedule here in Twitch for the times and such. We do Quilt Church, where we talk about quilts and we look at them and we analyze them and we watch videos and look at old photographs and talk about what the quilt means. What does it mean? What does it all mean? And it's really, really fun. It's really all I want to do these days. And someone, Myra, I think it was someone asked about notifications, and I looked into it a little bit, and one of the suggestions was that to make sure you're getting notifications when I go live or when a person goes live, is to turn on all notifications in your settings. Like, rather than, picking one specifically, like notify me when blah blah. But I don't know if that sounds like a solution that I would like, because I try to use as few notifications as possible on my phone because they're just very distracting. But that might work. But that's annoying though, because I really, sometimes, I might just go rogue sometime and just stream in the middle of the night. And if nobody knows, then will anyone hear me? If a quilt twitcher streams in the middle of the night in a forest, is anyone here? Okay. Speaking of going rogue, one time, those newscaster like blooper reels? They're really great. If you've never seen them, after we're done here, go to YouTube and look at news anchor blooper reels. Amazing. And I saw one in real time once. It wasn't like an amazing one where like the weatherman like falls like over the chair or something like that, but it was really good. Oh God, what was her name? Not Anna Paquin. Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin wrote a book. And it was called Going Rogue. And I remember that because the news anchor was like, and now we're going to talk about a new book that has just come out, Going Rouge by Sarah Palin. And I was like, and the other anchor was like, I think it's Going Rogue. And it was funny because there was like a little bit of subtext in there, like this lady politician, right? Going Rouge. How interesting. Although, to be fair, rogue and rouge, very similar in spelling. Speaking of language. Felt like sweets. Will you remind me of your name? Is it Charles? Is it Charles? I feel like calling you Felt. Some of your names are very name-like, but Felt, I feel like I should call you by your name. You didn't want to receive a notification today. Damn it. Man. Okay, Charles, good. I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. There's got to be a reason, and I don't like it that you don't get the notification. That's bad for everybody. And I mean it. I'll figure it out. It's actually, yeah, it's on my little post-it right there. It is not left my computer's side. Oh no. Okay, here we go. something sort of monumental. Yeah, happened today. I finished a journal. I write in my journal a lot. I have for many years now. I write about 1,000 pages a year. I counted once. I figured it out. And I can show you the side that here's one right now. That's crazy. And this little, that's wild. But I do have one here, a new one that I bought. I use the Luke Term journal because I pulled in this little table, this little side table to put all my stuff on. So this is my journal that I use. 250 pages in each one. And I write, like 1,000 pages a year. So I finished the book that I was on. And that's, that's pretty awesome. It always feels really good. And I didn't, it's interesting. Some journals, sometimes I have the ability to write more than other times or have the need to write more than other times. But I mean, I really write consistently for many years, these journals. And there have been just a couple journals when, a third of the year would go by before I finished one. But there have been more than a few journals that were done in 2 months. And this last one, I started it August 16th, and I finished it today. I mean, I ran out of pages today. And it's because of everything that's happened with Eric's mother dying and us going to Idaho and, just there's so much to say and so much to process. And a writer that I like once said that writing things down is the way she orders reality. And that's exactly what I have to do. I can't really understand anything, I think, especially not myself, unless I write it down. And I used to write my blog. I did that for many years and just stopped. I mean, like 12 years I wrote it, but and that helped me order reality as well. But my journal is, it's for me, and it's definitely like my magnum opus. It's what I'll leave behind when I die, and I hope that one day it will be of use, because when you look at history as much as I do, and you go back and try to piece together women's lives and, how things were at what time, boy, there is nothing like a diary or a journal, to tell you so much. And so I've got really it's quite the catalog. And whew, I mean, wow, is there some stuff in those books? Oh my God. No one, if those things were leaked somehow, I've had some wild times. This is when I should go back to sewing and not speak anything else. It's all written down. Everything. My mom asked me once, what did she say? Do you edit or do you, she said, it's so strange. She said, are you honest in it or something? Not like I wouldn't, I mean, she just was like, she sort of couldn't imagine. I mean, this is really what I understood her to be saying, like, do you always tell it exactly as it happened or something like that? Not because she didn't think I would, but she was, surprised maybe that I would just be completely candid about absolutely everything in my journal. And I was like, yes, like if I lied to myself or if I changed what had happened, that day or what I was thinking, I mean, wow, what would be the point? The point is that it is for me. This is not for public consumption. This is for me to order my own reality. And so the idea that I would not be completely and utterly painfully honest about everything totally threw me off. I was like, no. So anyway. Yes, other writers. Okay. Charles, I can show you. Interesting. You were receiving notifications, but not now. That's really weird. Boxes of old journals. Yep. Yep, you need to get it out. Good. Holmes has worked. Okay, good. Yeah, Marianne, you process stuff while you sew, or you said it. Yeah, I think some of us process stuff while we sew. You deal with grief that way during the pandemic. Yes, there was no one to share it with. Oh, God. Yeah, paper girl. Oh. That makes me want to cry. Yeah. Carol! You just have this deadpan, Hempel. I've already warned my kids all I'm leaving behind is fabric and yarn. Ridiculous. There's a wonderful book called A Book of One's Own, and it's by a writer who I think was canceled at some point. Thomas Mallon, I think. Anyway, it's about people and their diaries and their journals. Oh, I didn't do that very well, did I? And the different chapters are the different kinds of journal writers that there are, and I think there are 7 that he identified, reading all of these journals, from famous people, Virginia Woolf and Anais Nin. Don't know if I pronounced that right. Anais. And, explorers and all of these different people. And I don't remember all of them, but one of them, was the record keeper, like the person who just logs everything, the minute detail and all of that. Another one was, the traveler, the person when they really only journal when they go on a trip. They take a train ride and they write an entry, and then a year will pass or more before they pick up the journal again. And it's a really, really interesting book. Oh, I want to read that again. It's really good. The confessional, sometimes the journal can be a confessional. Anyway, so I finished a journal today. Well, the name of this book. The name. It's called A Book of One's Own. I thought you were asking me about the name of my journal, and my journal has a name. It has a title. It's called Attila the Honey. It's been that way for so long, Attila the Honey. And I write to her, this fictional being. I mean, to the journal itself, right? Attila the Honey. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I think I might switch to doing some applique after this. So many white stitches. My mom's always said that, there's this idea that quilters are patient, quilt makers are patient, and she's like, that's so untrue. It couldn't be further from the truth. We're impatient. We want to finish one project so we can work on another, and we look for all of these conveniences or efficiencies. We look for these efficiencies in our process, a really great ruler, a great needle that it works better because it makes things more fun, but it also makes things go a little faster so we can finish one thing and move on to the next. I think that's really true. She also has said that if you love office supplies, you'll love making quilts. Now, is that true? Or is that true? Who out there does not love office supplies? I mean, in this show. Oh yeah. I think so too. Padma, I was thinking that while I'm waiting for this documentary project to actually happen, I think I'll be waiting forever. this quilt history documentary series that I've wanted to make for 3 years now. I thought, maybe I ought to write a book, like a real book. And I think the book that it should be, that it would have to be, is a people's history of the American quilt. Because the quilt histories that we have, we need to talk about slavery. We need to talk about child labor in the Industrial Revolution. I don't want to write a book that's like a bummer or like a gotcha book, but I think there has to be a new history book that looks at the entire sort of the genesis of the American quilt, that mentions, the way it actually happened, which was, there was English patchwork that we, were using and then adapted brilliantly, beautifully. There needs to be something said about, most history books that are worth anything talk about how, it wasn't scarcity that led to these beautiful patchwork quilts, but abundance of fabric, right? And the colonists did not make quilts. The colonists did not make quilts because there wasn't any fabric around to make quilts. They wove their own fabric, wool or flax, and they didn't cut it up. Because why would you cut up a piece of fabric you had just made from your hands? No, anyway. So, but there are old patchwork quilts and the women who make them, and Ruth Finley, and anyway, the early books did say that the colonists, quilts are as old as the colonists, and it's just not true. It's so not true. The real story is better, always better, that the abundance of cloth came because of the Industrial Revolution, and there was a cost. Having a clear-eyed view, a true account of the quilts that came out of Gee's Bend and that phenomenon. I do a lecture called, Myth in the American Quilt Story, and it's all about how there's, this belief, the story that gets told over and over and over is that the Gee's Bend quilters were these I think I mentioned this at Quilt Church the other day, but like these isolated backwater, illiterate, like simple, soulful people, and they just didn't know how good they were. And it's crap. It's just a bunch of crap. They were, the Freedom Quilting Bee is the story of Gee's Bend. That's where the story should start and where it did start. Long before Bill Arnett came and discovered the Gee's Bend quilters, discovered. So, the more I talk about it, the more I really want to do it. And the 1971 exhibit, Abstract Design in American Quilts, it was this huge watershed moment for quilts because they were exhibited at the Whitney Museum of Art, and it was such a huge deal. When I was first learning, when first getting into quilt history and stuff, I was like, that was truly what I believed, was that was the moment when quilts hit museums, for the first time. But it wasn't the first time. There was a show in Newark Museum a couple years before, but there was also several other things going on before that show. And so I feel like a people's history would be really good, to actually, and I call it a people's history because rather than being some sort of gloss on the history of this wonderful thing, it would be sort of a boots on the ground kind of thing. Not that I would quote people necessarily. It's not a piece of journalism. It'd be a written book. But I think it doesn't exist. Yeah. Office supplies, for show. Yes, exactly. Myra, 1000%. So put a 1 in the chat if you think I should write a book. I think I should do it. Yeah. I think I have to. Talking about it to an audience instead of just talking to myself in my head about it, or Eric, it does feel pretty good. It feels sort of urgent, actually. did it again. I have just enough thread to throw away or sew like 2 stitches. Read it? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'd buy it. I want to read it, you know? I want to make it so I can read it, you know? All right. Okay. That's it. Gotta go. I mean, I do know a lot. Like, obviously, it would be a long process with lots and lots of research and, oh God, a great editor. But, I mean, it's not like I'm starting from zero, you know? I know a few things about quilts, and the more I do quilt church, the more I'll know. Hey, I keep looking for places that need stitches, and it's pretty good. Okay, but I'm gonna get my my little lap desk. I'm gonna keep going. It feels so good to sew and hang out with y'all. So I'm gonna take a quick break. Use the bathroom, and she needed to know that, and get my little thing because I'm gonna do some applique. Okay, so yeah, see you in a second. In just a second. Okay, this is the Quilt Church Be Right Back music, so brace yourself. See, look. Thank God it's there. Oh, I got to turn on my light. Hang on. Yeah, I did a costume change because, I don't know, it's the second half. We're in the second inning, second half. I got to turn on this light. Hang on one second. I hope you had a good break. Okay. Okay. See, I have to climb up over this thing. Ugh. I couldn't find my lap desk. Anyway, so if you're new, hi, how's it going? My name's Mary, and that light's very bright, but there's a reason it's there. That's because we're sewing together. Doesn't that look great? Yeah, we're sewing. This is the Sunday Sewcial. The rest of the week, I stream 3 times a week. Well, I mean, this is the 4th stream in a week, but usually we're talking about quilts. We're nerding out on quilts, as we like to say, at Quilt Church. But right now we're just going to sew together. We have been sewing together for almost 2 hours. A different kind of nerd out. I'm going to open that window. See, I wasn't really ready to come back on, but I didn't want to leave you for too long, so now I'll leave you, but not really. Okay, yeah, great. Okay. Especially now that I have my Twitch sweatshirt on, I gotta open the window. This is very warm, Twitch. Almost too warm. Okay, I couldn't find my lap desk. That's all right. So I'm working on a COVID quilt. If you're new here, it's very large. One love. Lots of things, lots of figures, lots of things happening on this pictorial quilt. It's impossible to show you the whole thing right here, but if you look at the stream from last Sunday, which you can see on YouTube or Twitch, you can see the whole thing because I was working on it last week too. Let's see. The Quilt Church music is perfect. Yeah, it's really good, isn't it? But I do want to get more of it so you don't have to hear the same one over and over. Anyway, okay. So I was quilting. Now I'm going to switch to some applique, but I couldn't find my lap desk. So I'm just going to use this. I have this tray, you know. I actually have 2. They're Eric's. He uses them for whatever. They're nesting. But all I really need is a hard surface. So I'm going to turn it over just like a little desk. Again, I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do it, but it sure works for me. So I'm going to turn the piece that I'm going to work on. Well, getting the quilt off my lap would also help me just not be too warm. I hope it wasn't a mistake to put this thing on. So I removed the S. Let me turn this around from Stay Safe. I can zoom out. Let me do that. I mean, I do know how to do that. But do I dare right now? No, I don't. I don't dare. I can show you this way. So this part says Stay Safe. It's right up at the top. This quilt was started in 2020 when we were all locked in our houses. And I totally approve of that, by the way. That sounded a little bit like, when we were all locked in our houses. Thumbs up on being locked in the house for a little while. I started it then, and I really want to finish it. And it was 2020 when I started it. To be fair, it was like June of 2020. But then a lot of life happened, and I just haven't finished it yet. But that's all right. So now I'm going to finish it. And when I started it, I hadn't done much of this. Taking this little stitch out. Hadn't done much needle turned applique, which is what this is. And so my S really looked bad. And some of the things are going to have to be repaired, some of these little appliques, because this quilt has been to London and back like twice, yeah. And I've been manhandling it with that hoop for months, you know, pushing that hoop around it. And so some things are kind of loose, and that's all right. I can fix that. Some things, you know, can't fix them. Others, you can fix them. Isn't that wise? Isn't that a great advice? Okay. Okay, so okay, this is not a demo. Don't think that this is a demo because it isn't. Oh, okay. I'm usually a little hot when I sit down though, right? And then I calm down. This is not a demo, but I have some tips. So I'm going to cut out from this black solid fabric the S that I'm going to make. And I just cut freehand. I mean, I could use a template, but I don't want to. And I've never cut something freehand out of fabric live on camera before, so like I hope I can actually do this, but when I first started, I didn't quite know, because I mean my mom helped me understand like how to actually turn the bits, you know, and stitch them down. But in terms of like, you know, preparing the piece that you're sewing, I mean, I kind of taught myself. Most of the stuff that I know how to do, I did teach myself with quilt making, and that might sound crazy, but it's true. I didn't really sew before with my mom, you know, who's this famous quilter, right? But I just didn't do it until I was like 28, and then I decided that I wanted to make a quilt, and I just jumped in, and I had never really learned how. So this is the same kind of thing. I was like, I want to do applique, so I just started doing it. And you can tell on some of these pieces that I don't know what I'm doing. Now, so I'm going to make an S. And when you're drawing letters or anything, I mean, any shape that you're going to draw on the piece of fabric, it's going to be flipped around. So if I draw an S here, you know, I'm going to sew, I'm going to draw an S and cut it out, okay? And then, but when I sew it down, if the fabric is, okay, the point is, if the fabric is solid, you're in luck, right? Because you should be able to, if you make it really even, you should be able to flip it. Anyway, but if you have fabric that is, you know, has a right side and a wrong side, if you will, sometimes you have to draw on the back. You have to draw backwards so that when you flip it, anyway. I told you this is not a demo. You need to draw your piece bigger than what it is, because you have to allow for the seam allowance. And with a needle turned applique, like the seam allowance, you know, like 1/4 inch is too big, 1/8 of an inch is pretty small. You kind of figure out what you're comfortable with. I mean, this is not a demo because, I mean, I might do this in a way that you just think is like really bad. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw my S with this white marking pen, and yeah, cutting an S freehand is hard. So I'm gonna draw it. And so if I want, you know, I want my letter. So like here's my hand, and there's my T. You see how it needs to be repaired a little bit in there. It needs to fit in this. So I just sort of, okay. Okay, because I have solid fabric, I'm not going to have to flip this, which is really nice. An N is really hard to draw backwards. See, that's pretty tight, but I think that's okay. I think roughly. Pretty thick line, Fons. All right. It's all eyeballed. We'll find out. Oh, the music. I almost forgot. I did forget. I need a chip. Crisp. All right. I want to put it down here, but I really need it. I really need it up here for a second. Liz Porter once told me the secret to really getting something right, you know, when you're making a quilt, is you got to get your tongue in the right place. Yeah. Okay, enough goofing around, Fons. Cutting a little bit wide because I can take some fabric off, but I can't put it back on. Okay. Don't fail me now. Okay, now when I put it down there, this is not a demo, when I put it down there, and that white marking, of course, comes off. So I feel pretty good about this, okay? And because it's bigger than the others. Here. And that's the way it should be, because I have to turn the edges in. The top is a little bit thin, but I think it's going to be all right. Yes, let's see. Let's look. Hey, who's that? Hey, it's Mouse. I like Mouse. I might call you Mouse. Stay safe. Nope, it does not match perfectly. This one is thinner and skinnier. This one will become thinner and skinnier, but it won't be exactly the same. And I am 1000% okay with that. Any quilt that, like, you know, has that I cut this out by hand quality. It's my favorite kind, so it's okay. Now, the thing that I have to do next is cut little notches in this thing. So, hang on. Yeah, you can't see, no, you can't reverse the S. That's not an S. That's an S. So how do this particular pen, my marking pen, it'll come out. I just don't know. I don't know how that particular pen, because I use a friction pen a lot, but they don't make white. Anyway, the point is, I might be able to. I don't need to get the markings out just now, but I kind of want to, but that's all right. So now I'm going to go around and make little tiny cuts in the edges, because that helps me get a nice curve. If you don't cut those little notches, you get sharp edges. So that gives you the ability to do a nice curve on the applique, you know, tulip, a vine, anything that you need to curve. And I learned that, you know, the hard way by making S's that looked kind of like, I don't know, really bad number 5s. But I learned it, and nothing's perfect, but it's easier. So I'm doing like, okay. I'm doing cuts that are like, sorry. Oh, I think if I do this, sorry. You seeing that? Hang on. Ooh, nice. course, I can't see what I'm doing now. But just little snips. I can't do that over there or I'm really going to mess this up, especially because it's black. Hang on. My edges are still not great all the time. I mean, there's always this risk of like, you know, showing you this and like, you're like, here's like this way to do it. And like, don't you get this problem when you do it that way? And then I'll be like, yes. And then I'll feel silly. It's really hard to see. Now I just blinded myself. Hang on. I don't want to do too much here. Okay. See, I'm just nervous to go in too far, but I don't have a lot of wiggle room on this thing. So, this is where, you know what's interesting? It's risky, but these are so sharp. I think that's part of what I need to do here. Yeah, that's it. That's it. My snips were not quite as sharp as I want them to be. I need to get some really good snips. Those are thread scissors, and they're great, but these are great. That's what was wrong. Okay, mouse. The former S. Oh, can I show you the former S? I think I can. I think it's in my little thread garbage out there. Mouse, I'm so glad you're here. Everyone welcome Mouse, if you would. Take a moment, because, you know, she's in Quilt Church now. Or she or he, whoever it is. Taking this one. Okay, good. Hey, great, Crafts. Yep. You remember the Philly Modern Quilt Guild? That is a great guild. I know that guild. I've been there, and Sarah Bond is a member of that guild, so, you know. It's kind of like gold standard. Taking a break from long rhyming and top making to work on my Halloween cosplay stuff. Excellent. Hey, you know, thank you, Mouse. The Twitch is really good for cosplay people. There are a lot of people who sew on Twitch, and there are more than a few. Where was I here? A lot of the sewing that takes place here is cosplay related. So you should poke around. Maybe you already know this. You probably do. I mean, you're on Twitch and you do cosplay stuff. So, you know, perhaps that's true for you already. But if you didn't know that, you should check out other channels because they're great. Button Fox is really good. I don't do cosplay stuff, but I've been watching Twitch channels to kind of see what people are doing and how to do it. I also have been watching females on Twitch, you know? I mean, female sewing people. Mostly, although I've watched some gamer stuff. I'm trying to learn this platform, and I think it's really cool when there are women on this platform because it's a predominantly dude-heavy kind of thing. Okay. We'll see. Right. Sarah, yes, Sarah's amazing. A leather bandolier pattern. Interesting. Yeah, Quilt Tony. Quilt Tony is really cool. I Instagram messaged her. I know I did, or I didn't just think about it. I'm pretty sure I did. She's great. But I want to talk to her about Twitch, you know? Learn from people who've been doing it a long time. She's great. She has a whole setup, you know? She's really professional, and yeah, she does a great job. Let's see. What needle was I using? think this one. Yeah. Is this gonna work? Nope. Okay. So, Mouse, I don't know, maybe you heard me say that this show is, this is a sewing show. But the rest of the week it's something a little different. So I hope that you will swing by. And being in the UK, it's kind of weird with the time zone, you know, in the States, which is where most of my audience is. I mean, the middle of the day on a Tuesday and Thursday, I know it's not ideal for folks who are working jobs that they can't break away from, you know, for a couple hours to look at quilts. But you can always watch the replay here on Twitch or on YouTube. We just have a really good time. Okay. I'll let you explore, because I've been talking about it a lot, and I don't want to be too repetitive for people who've been in here. Yeah. We just nerd out. I'll leave it at that. Okay, this thread. Okay. And you know, this might not turn out that great, you know? It's risky. It's risky to do this. Because, you know, sometimes what you make doesn't turn out great. But you're not usually sewing in front of other people. Ooh, I'm not going to lick the end of my thread this time. Because Dee Marie made a very good... No, it was Carol. Carol made a good point. That when you lick the end of your thread... the fibers swell, and it makes it harder to thread the needle, and I got this on the first try. Okay. Well, everything's different now. Oh, I don't want to do that so much. Hang on. Thank you, Carol, for changing my life. I'm doing that pinky thing. Sorry. We enlighten one another. So, we enlighten one another with our brilliance and insights to nerd out. Yes, exactly, on quilts. Hey, a high school teacher. We just started a quilting, sewing, and cosplay club. That's so awesome. So for the high school kids? That is amazing. That is amazing. Oh, Philly is a great city. I really like Philadelphia. Talk about history. Talk about early American history, right? Really interesting stuff. Yeah, you know, this is the right size. It's the right size. It is a different size from my other S, but I have to get it inside that little square. And when I turn it under, you know, when I turn the S under, it'll be quite nice. I hope. Eric says that. Quite nice. Okay, sorry, now you see my wound. Sorry, that's gross. I'm going to do this over here because I have to really use both of my hands here. Or I'll just pull it back a little bit. Hang on, let me do something here. How shall I? Okay, I'll do this. Whoa, fancy. Okay, let's see. Is that right? Is that what I want to do? Yeah. Okay. Don't watch. Nope. Nope. Come on now. Don't do that to me. Oh, I learned this last time, didn't I? I can't do that particular thing that I was going to do while the camera is on and I'm streaming. Great. Okay, cool. Well, you'll have to see my terrible wound, I guess, unless I hide it from you. I think I'll just hide it from you, and then I'll show you my progress as I go along. Okay. I could just talk about it more, and then, that'd be great. Okay. Yes. Oh, good. Catching folks up. This is excellent. Okay, great. So, okay. So you see, because I cut those little notches, I can turn in one bit at a time, right, and stitch it down. This is like impossible to do this the way I'm doing it. But you can get the curve much, much easier. You really can't get it unless you do that to the curve. Cut those little notches and then go notch by notch. If you give it a try, you'll see exactly what I mean. But and so then I just kind of press it down. Oh, I've got to bury my knot. Hang on. Okay. I know how to not say silly things or talk too much. Just do this. It takes a little bit more concentration than just stitching around a box. I'll show you my progress as I go along. I've got to do... I missed some notches. Mouse, can you, yes, exactly. Could you tell folks about Discord? I think a lot of people in the chat right now are new to Twitch. I know I am. And Discord is will also be new to a lot of people. Maybe not everyone. The mouse is right, everyone. But I just... What is Discord? I kind of know, but I don't want to say it wrong, so... it's kind of like Slack, right? But it's like public. Anyway. What is Discord? And I do want to build it, absolutely. The more people that we get, the better the show gets. And like I said, this is the Sunday Sew. But the real show, or the, you know, the show that started it all is the Quilt Church show. And the more people we have there, the more opinions we have there, the more collaboration we have there. And you'll see, I hope you can come on Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday sometime. It's pretty cool. It's a video magazine. That's what Mark is calling it. So I kind of press down after I turn under a bit of this. I kind of use my fingernail to get it to sort of stay. I mean, I'm sort of creasing it. In a way, you could say the pressing down that I do is sort of, I mean, like pressing with an iron, right? I mean, I'm putting in. So what do I do? I've done it before where I focus it. It has something to do with putting something in the foreground. Yeah, there. Okay. See that nice curve that I'm getting? It's pretty much impossible unless you make those notches, right? Yeah, like a message board. Thank you. That is the best way. I know. Yeah, okay, great. Discord is like a chatting program where community can post and share pics and messages. Okay, I didn't even think about the pics part. That would be really great, wouldn't it? For people to show pictures of their projects and stuff. Y'all, things are gonna move fast. There may be a Discord thing attached to this show. Because, I mean, I'd love to see your pictures and, you know, you sharing them with others. I mean, wouldn't it be great? I think part of my, it's not hesitation. I mean, really, like, Mouse, you are speaking the truth, right? And to have that part of this would be extraordinary. I am thinking about how I'm learning Twitch, and maybe I don't need to wait, right? To have a link where people can, you know, click and go post their pictures, you know, related to the show, or post their thoughts related to the show. Maybe it's as simple as that. My focus right now is learning Twitch and learning how to really use it, because I really like the platform, and I'm just kind of over YouTube and Facebook. I have not logged on to Facebook. Honestly, I can't remember when I did. I post things to Instagram and they post to Facebook, but I think Facebook is kind of like ruined the world. I mean, I just can't. I know it's kind of a snotty thing to say, but I also think that it's true. Anyway, so I'm just over that, and I think Twitch has really interesting features, and so I've been so focused on learning this and sort of bringing people who don't know this platform to the platform. And everyone who's here is amazing. They're just like, I don't know what that is, but I'll try it. And so to add another thing makes me a little bit worried that I want to take things slow, but also like if it adds to the show and people can share what they're working on, like why in the world would I wait? So thank you for that. I have to look into that. It's a good idea. Oh, someone's asked me if I want money. What should I say? Yeah. Yeah, Myra. Yeah, third hand. It could be. Yeah, you could share the notions and things. Okay, great. So click on the link that Mouse put in there, Quilt Tony's Discord, and you can see what it's like. Yeah, I think so too, Myra. It's like a clean slate, Twitch is. And, Mouse, I've talked many times about how Twitch is a great platform for quilters. And with Quilt Church, podcasts are great, quilt shows are great, conferences are great, like it's all great. But there's nothing like what we do at Quilt Church, because we get to talk about people. We talk about quilts, and we look into people, and I'll have soon enough, like within the next month, I think I'll do my first live discussion with a quilt maker or a historian or something. And so what that will facilitate, Twitch allows us to show this person's work as we're talking about it. Podcasts can't really do that, right? And so to be able to talk to a person live and look like Sarah Bond, right? Should be a good first guest. I think I've just made that decision if she'll come on the show, Sarah Bond. We can look at her work, and she can say, oh, Google this, right? Google this. I want to show you this. Have you ever heard of this? And I'll be like, hang on. And I'll Google it and put it up on the screen. And then we have this really fascinating visual conversation, right? So I do think Twitch is a breath of fresh air. But this Discord business, why not jump in, right? I want you all to be able to communicate with each other visually. Well, there you go. If I'm all about this visual experience. You're loving Quilt Church. Rhonda, like my noodle, my Rhonda Kernoodle. Me too. It's like, I just haven't had this much fun in a long time, like in the industry, but just also just myself. I don't know. It's so awesome. I love it so much. I need him under this. I love it so much. And it's because of you all. If you weren't here, like the point is that you're here, it's amazing. Yep. 1000%. Everything that's you're saying in the chat. Oh, I see. Sorry, I don't want to Alistrina B, hi. I think you're new. Or maybe you're new to the chat. You're most welcome here. I hope you stick around. We're sewing today. Tuesday. We're going to look at Sashiko. We're going to actually discover what makes Sashiko and not big stitch quilting. It's just the kind of thing that we like to nerd out on. Okay. I think I need even more padding. Is that too much? No. Oh, and something that's important to mention for the 9,000th time, this is not a demo, I'm just sewing, but I want you to see what I'm working on, I've done many a demo in my day, and none of them were on the couch while I was eating chips, live. So none of them were as awesome. Not by a long shot, actually. It's interesting, like we're so all of one mind about quilt police and just like being chill and like, like we don't throw shade to the Paducah people, but I think we've established that like we're the quilt kids. Okay, let's just we're the quilt kids. And so we're the quilt people who like we're good students, great students, but we smoke cigarettes out back sometimes. In high school, like this is it. We just are those kids. We get really good grades because we're smart, but we're also, we might have a cigarette out back of the school sometimes. We might misbehave a little bit. So if we get a quilt police person or something in here, which will happen, of course, and that person will surely have only the best of intentions, right? But if it happens, y'all better just calm down. Oh yeah, that's true. No Quilt Police. God bless you. You do listen, Alistrina. If you find the cultural history and cultural, you said history and the cultural, yeah, history. Chat, tell her what she's doing on Tuesday. Hopefully, you would love the conversations we have, I think. Okay, I have to focus on this, or I won't get finished. Not my best curve. I think I took two. Just give me a second. Sorry. I mean, what is the lighting doing for me here? Is it helping me? I don't think it is. I'm gonna make it work, but it was a little bit rough. This might require damage control. I think when I was going around and clipping the curve, I think I clipped... What did I do? I clipped two clips too close together. I did a double clip, basically. And that was a problem. But it's alright. I'll just smush it. Quilt Rebels, yes. Oh, okay. Mouse and Alistrina know each other. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Ooh, Christmas 13. Christmas. I have no idea. So Christmas, don't be alarmed. Your comment was flagged for absolutely no reason. First of all, it's Christmas. I really like calling you Christmas. 'Cause like that's a nice word. So Christmas 13, I'm going to allow this comment immediately because do you know what word they flagged? The little mod bot? Put. P-U-T was like highlighted in my feed or something. We had a moment earlier when someone's comment was flagged because she said, it was D. Marie, I believe, said looser tension. And apparently, since no one can spell loser anymore, the irony, it was flagged. Looser. Because you don't spell loser, L-O-O-S-E-R, but apparently now you do on the internet. I see it all the time. Anyway, we won't go back to that business. Yeah, we can't see it flagged D. Marie's comment. Okay, we cannot put and we cannot looser, and it's flagged again, and I have to allow it. Flagged it again. It's very funny. Yes, exactly. Good. Okay, excellent. Yeah. So Alistrina and Mouse know each other, which is great. So Alistrina, you must be in Philly, but actually maybe not. And I think you both would enjoy the Quilt Church show. I don't know. Where is my lap desk? I really want it. This is not ideal. Okay, just calm down. Okay. I think I got this. So, by the way, I was at Borough Market the other day. And Borough Market is just, I mean, has anyone been to Borough Market in London? I mean, it's like, there are so many wonderful markets here, but Borough Market, there's just something about it. I know Marianne has been, right? She's here in London as well. But I mean, Borough Market is just, it's my favorite. And it's just this enormous market on the south bank, right off London Bridge. And I think I know what happened here, by the way. I think this was one of my snips that I made with my thread scissors that is just, it's just rough. Anyway, I have to stop messing with it. So Borough Market, they have the cheesemongers at Borough Market are just, they're so amazing. I mean, there's probably Marianne, have you been there recently? It's like, there are at least 15 different cheesemongers in this, huge open air market. I love London so much. I love it here so much. And you can go and, they'll cut you off just this little taste, right, of any cheese that you want to try. And I went to this one cheesemonger this one time the other day, and I bought some wonderful, wonderful cheese, and it was really stinky. I mean, I usually say, this is what I learned. I say the stinkier the better, right, with cheese. But I gotta tell you, I tasted this cheese, lots of blue in it, right, lots of mold, and I tasted it there at the market, and it was amazing, and I was like, yeah, I'll take some. So he cut, a little wedge for me. And when I got it home, I ate some of it the next day, or I tried. It may be a little too stinky. It honestly tasted like a barnyard. I mean, it really, really, I was like, okay, wow. I mean, it was like a horse stall. It's the only way maybe a sheep stall, but it was like, or a cow. I don't know. I think it was sheep. It wasn't horse cheese. Oh, God. It wasn't horse milk cheese. God. Ugh. What is happening to this stream? But it was just really intense. It's very, very intense. And I don't know if I'm going to really be able to do it. I didn't get very much of it, which is good because it's expensive. And so I can only get so much. But anyway, what I meant to tell you is that it seems to be truffle season. Some of you foodies may know that for sure. But so many truffles for sale. And I got some tortellini that's beef and truffle. It's so good. Like pasta you make at home, It's delicious. Yeah, I don't know, y'all. Chicago will be home for a long time, but I think it'll be halfway home. I think London has gotten into my system. I just don't know how I lived without it, to be honest. And it has not been easy, I'll tell you that much. You know that probably by now. Okay, let's see, we got a flag. The looser thing is huge pet peeve of mine. Okay, listen, Christmas. Can I call you Christmas? I think that's what you're playing with, right? Christmas. I don't want to, I like giving nicknames to people, and sometimes I think maybe that they don't like them, but no one ever tells me that. So I keep giving people nicknames. But, actually one person did tell someone else that she hated it when I called her by her last name. Let's say her name was Betty Jones, and I'd be like, Jones, what's up? Apparently she didn't like that. She didn't tell me. She told someone else. It was great. And so, anyway, we talked all about that. We talked about the looser thing. So you should watch the replay, and you'll just be like, oh, my people. Yeah. Okay. And Quilting Politic says SMH. Now, yeah, no, it's true, Alistrina. I'm playing I'm playing a public domain, unroyalty, copyright-free stream of music now, And yeah, I'm all over it. I don't want to get copyright flagged or struck or anything like that. SMH. Oh, hell yeah, punk rock days. You are the cool kids. I like that. Christmas, it's really good. The SMH that Quilting Politic put up there, I thought for a long time it was smack my head, like, but apparently it's so much hate. I don't know. I thought it was smack my forehead, you know, but I guess that'd be SMF. I had no idea it was so much hate, and it reminded me too of someone who said that their grandmother thought LOL was lots of love, so she'd be like, you know, have a safe trip home, LOL. It's like, grandma. But it was have a safe trip home, lots of love. Where are my scissors? I don't know. I did something about this setup. I mean, this is not usually what I do, and it's too late to change it now, but like, my process has seen better days. Okay, it's 6:44. I'm going to sign off at 7 my time because, I mean, it'll be 3 hours at that point. I've loved every second of it. I could probably go longer, but I mean, that beef tortellini's calling my name. Yeah, there's new people. New people have come through. And shaking my head. Okay. Oh, that's a good shaking my head. Same here. Shake my head. Lol. Shake my head. Okay. I think some people, so much hate. I think Eric told me that. Because I was like, SMH. That means, you know, smack my head or something like that, right? And he was like, no, so much hate. And I was like, that's terrible. But it does make sense in context because I see people, you know, horrible people commenting on, you know, whatever they're commenting on, and they say, you know, SMH, and, you know, the nature of the comments would, by deduction, you can sort of say, well, they probably are saying so much hate, or I don't know. It's impossible to tell. Oh, yeah, I don't know, guys. I mean, okay, so it's going okay, but I mean, it's tough. My light is like, I mean, it's a bad appliquer who blames her light, but my light is not good. I don't know what's going on with it. Okay, I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead, actually. Here's the deal. Everyone who is here, I'm grateful for you, and I hope you got some stuff done on your project, or, you know, whatever you were doing today. Mouse and duckbill, and, oh yeah, and, oh good, Michelle, and mouse, and Alistrina, all of the Philly moderns who are here, Christmas, everybody. Who else was new tonight, or here for the first time, or in the chat for the first time? Yeah, Padma's back, PJ Meep is back. Anyway, I love what's going on here, and I think I've said that enough, and I'm usually pretty effusive at the end of all this, like, but yeah, it's just the way it is. Doing this is like a really bright spot in my life, and I got a lot of good things in my life. I'm very grateful, but it's really fun. So thanks for coming by, and I'll see you Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central for Quilt Church. And if you want to take a look at it, if you don't know what we're talking about, or you want to just like, what is that that they keep saying? What is church? Please don't talk about Jesus. Or maybe you're like, please talk about Jesus. I don't know how you feel about Jesus. My name's Paul. That's between y'all. But if you want to take a look at what this video magazine thing is, then watch the replay of at least some of it on the Twitch channel or on YouTube, and you'll get a sense of what it is. And we'd love to have you. So thanks for coming, and good luck on your projects. And I'll see you on Tuesday. And you're amazing. Okay, bye everybody. Where's my button? Here it is. Okay.